The 1970 Clint Eastwood film that left many with lingering regrets revolves around her, a character brimming with emotion and tragedy. Every frame, every glance from Eastwood seems to etch deep remorse, opening a journey to uncover the truth behind the decision to make this film, leaving an unforgettable impact on viewers. The mystery of the Clint Eastwood film he refuses to mention. In the pantheon of Hollywood legends, where each name is tied to a storied legacy, Clint Eastwood holds a singular place. He is not merely an actor but an icon, a definition of rugged masculinity, a master filmmaker with a gaze that pierces the soul and a composure that seems unshakable. His career is an epic symphony of triumphs, unforgettable roles, and timeless classics. Yet, amidst this resplendent symphony, there exists a discordant note, a chapter he seems eager to skip over or even tear out. It is a Western film produced in 1970, created at the peak of his fame, yet it became a memory he refuses to revisit. Curiously, this silence does not stem from a catastrophic box office failure. The film made money, nor was it due to his performance being savaged by critics. No, the reason lies somewhere far deeper and more personal. It originates from what unfolded behind the camera, from an uncompromising clash over artistic vision, from a simmering unease throughout the production, and from a bitter lesson that forever altered the trajectory of his career. Over half a century has passed, but Clint Eastwood has never once rewatched that film, and the story behind it stands as a powerful testament to the birth of one of America's greatest filmmakers, a birth forged in the crucible of disappointment. Clint Eastwood's early career. To understand Eastwood's unease with the 1970 film, we must travel back in time to a version of Clint Eastwood few know. Before he was the nameless man in the iconic poncho, he was Clinton Eastwood Jr., born in 1930 in San Francisco, growing up during the harshest years of the Great Depression. Life was far from easy. His family constantly moved from one California town to another as his father, a steel mill worker, chased employment. This unstable, challenging environment forged a tall, taciturn young man whose toughness came not from books, but from the raw struggle for survival. Hollywood was a distant dream. To make ends meet, young Clint toiled through countless manual jobs: lumberjack in Oregon, gas station attendant, steel mill worker, and even pool digger in Beverly Hills. His path to cinema was anything but smooth. Early auditions often ended in rejection. Casting agents criticized his slow, through-the-teeth speech and prominent Adam's apple. They saw no potential in his minimalist style or slightly awkward demeanor at the time. He was just another unknown face, one of thousands vying for a break under Hollywood's dazzling lights. With no clear path, no favors, only an iron will honed by years of hardship carried him forward. Career turning point and the rise of a star. Clint Eastwood's fate took an unexpected turn when he enlisted. Stationed at Fort Ord, a military base, he fortuitously crossed paths with individuals who would later become major figures in the film industry. These connections opened his first door. After his discharge, though still scraping by with minor, uncredited roles, a significant opportunity arrived in 1959. He was cast as Rowdy Yates in the long-running Western TV series Rawhide. The grueling filming schedule honed his acting skills and brought his face into millions of American homes, transforming him into a beloved television star. But television felt like a straitjacket. Just as he was growing restless, an unusual offer came from across the Atlantic. A near-unknown Italian director named Sergio Leone wanted him to star in a low-budget Western, a remake of a Japanese samurai film to be shot in Spain. It was a massive gamble. The Western genre in America was in decline, and for an American actor to star in such a European production was seen as a step backward. But Eastwood took the risk. And that gamble paid off beyond imagination. A fistful of dollars birthed the spaghetti Western genre, and created one of cinema's most iconic characters, the man with no name. With his poncho, cigar, and deadly silence, Eastwood redefined the Western hero entirely. The Dollars trilogy, including For a Few Dollars More and The Good, The Bad and the Ugly, swept global box offices, elevating Clint Eastwood from a television star to an international cinematic icon. He became the embodiment of a new kind of Western, dark, gritty, realistic, and brimming with style. What makes Two Mules for Sister Sara special? After the resounding success of the Dollars trilogy, Clint Eastwood returned to Hollywood with an entirely new stature. He was an A-list star, a name that guaranteed box office success. Studios clamored for him, and in 1970, he agreed to star in Two Mules for Sister Sara. On the surface, it was a perfect choice. The film boasted a dream cast: Eastwood, the world's new Western hero, and Shirley MacLaine, an Oscar-nominated actress renowned for both dramatic and comedic roles. The director's chair was occupied by Don Siegel, a filmmaker Eastwood deeply respected and would later collaborate with on classics like Dirty Harry. The story, revolving around a mercenary and a nun set against the backdrop of the Mexican War, promised a wealth of compelling elements. However, what unfolded on set was a quiet nightmare. The root of the trouble lay in an irreconcilable clash between the two lead stars. Clint Eastwood and Shirley MacLaine embodied entirely opposing approaches to their craft. Eastwood, honed by his work with Leone, believed in minimalism. He immersed himself in his character quietly, trusting that actions and glances carried more weight than words. He was pragmatic, aiming to nail scenes efficiently and move on. In contrast, Shirley MacLaine came from a theatrical acting tradition. She was vibrant, eager to dissect her character, unafraid to debate dialogue or scene staging with the director. She sought complexity and deeper layers of meaning in every action. This difference sparked a fierce clash of professional cultures. Reports suggest MacLaine constantly questioned her character's motivations and the script's logic, which Eastwood deemed unnecessary and a waste of time. He found her style overly theatrical, ill-suited for a Western. Conversely, MacLaine saw Eastwood as overly rigid and somewhat passive. The tension never erupted into open arguments, but simmered throughout production, creating a heavy atmosphere. The problems were compounded by the film's lack of coherence. Director Don Siegel seemed unable to settle on a clear direction. The film awkwardly hopped between violent action scenes, forced comedic moments, and dialogue that aimed for depth, but came off as cliched. For someone like Eastwood, who valued authenticity and focused storytelling, this genre chaos was nearly unbearable. The breaking point, however, was the script's most controversial element, the climactic twist, revealing that Sister Sara was not a nun but a prostitute masquerading to survive. In theory, this could have been an intriguing plot point, but to Eastwood, it ruined everything. It turned a story with potential for themes of faith, redemption, and complex relationships into a cheap gimmick. It undermined the seriousness and depth he had tried to bring to his character, clashing entirely with the gritty, realistic Western hero image he had cultivated. The real reason behind the silence. For all these reasons, Two Mules for Sister Sara became a scar on Clint Eastwood's career. He wasn't just disappointed, he felt artistically betrayed. The film was not a work he believed in but a product of compromise and creative decisions he wholly disagreed with. It stood as the starkest evidence of an actor's powerlessness, no matter how famous, when working within a system they couldn't control. And that is the true reason behind his half-century-long silence. Rewatching the film wouldn't just mean revisiting an old project. It would mean confronting a past version of himself, a Clint Eastwood who was still passive, acting in someone else's script without a decisive voice. It was the image of an artist boxed in, misunderstood, and powerless, everything he spent the rest of his career fighting against. The experience of Two Mules for Sister Sara became a powerful catalyst. The very next year, in 1971, Clint Eastwood took the director's chair for the first time with Play Misty for Me, a psychological thriller that was dark, haunting, and entirely different. It was a resounding statement. He would tell his own stories. From then on, he built a storied directing career with masterpieces like Unforgiven, $1 Million Baby, and Mystic River, all bearing his unmistakable personal stamp and absolute artistic control. So, when Clint Eastwood refuses to speak about Two Mules for Sister Sara, it's not out of shame. It's a rejection. He rejects a past where he wasn't in the driver's seat. Ironically, that film became the very force that pushed him to seize the wheel and become one of America's greatest auteurs. Sometimes, to grow as an artist, one must reject not only others' ideas, but also an older version of oneself. Two Mules for Sister Sara is that shadow of the past, one Clint Eastwood chose to let rest eternally in silence. And so, the veil of mystery is lifted. Clint Eastwood's regret over Two Mules for Sister Sara isn't simply about an imperfect film. It's regret for an experience that stripped him of control, something he later fought to reclaim at all costs. It's a memory of a version of himself he never wants to revisit. A passive actor, a star forced to follow creative decisions he believed were wrong. And her, Shirley MacLaine, was an undeniable catalyst for that transformation. Their clash wasn't just personal, it was a collision of two artistic worlds, two philosophies of craft. Shirley MacLaine wasn't a villain but a mirror, forcing Eastwood to face a harsh reality. Even as an icon, he was still a hired gun in someone else's story. Her intensity, analysis, and demands highlighted his silence, minimalism, and yearning for control. That miserable experience on set became a scar, but also the most powerful motivator. It was the final line, the bell signaling it was time for him to take charge and forge his own legacy. Right after that film, he stepped into directing, embarking on a new journey where he was the storyteller, the final decision-maker. Every film he directed thereafter, from gritty westerns to profound dramas, bore the mark of an artist who had reclaimed his voice. Had it not been for the bitter disappointment of Two Mules for Sister Sara and the artistic clash with her, the world might not have seen the great director Clint Eastwood we know today. Sometimes, the greatest turning points in life come not from victories, but from failures we resolve never to repeat. Do you think the worst experiences can sometimes be the necessary stepping stones to the greatest successes? Or is there another Clint Eastwood film you believe has equally fascinating behind-the-scenes stories? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love deep dives into Hollywood's behind-the-scenes stories, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to catch all our upcoming videos. Thank you, and see you soon.